Well, Michelle, we're coming back and we're going to have a little go at talking about business. I've got a chapter in the third book, which is called, I think it's called Business as Unusual, because I think
Ooh,
somehow that's where we should be going. However,
I like it.
um, I'm talking to you because you've got some experience in this. So, no modesty here. How many enterprises have you actually started?
Well, let's see. I think I probably started my first one was about 11. So, I've lost count. They're in different seasons and spaces since I returned from Africa. Um, two and a half, and then this one would be three. Um, I
Okay.
had one that was growing and was getting ready to be quite successful, and then unfortunately I had a car accident and injured my dominant hand, which it was art and wedding invitations with lettering. So that went out the window, and now I am reinventing again. And yeah, it's really good fun. I love blank canvases. They're so much fun.
Yeah, I know that huge creative entrepreneur side of you.
Mhm.
I want to, and I'm sure you're going to push back against the questions, and I hope you will, to be honest.
All right.
And of course, it's all tied up, Seven Mountains, what we talked about before, Inside Out, and all those things. But obviously, I've come across a nice, neat divide that people use. Um,
Mhm.
they call it priests and kings, and we know what priests are. They do the important work of working inside the church, but we really need to discover the kings, who are working in what is called the marketplace. So now you're a minister to the marketplace, for example. Your
Um,
face, your face tells me you're not leaping up and down with great joy. Tell me why not? Is it just the
I don't even like
language?
the term
Right.
marketplace.
Okay. Come on.
Yeah.
Why not?
Like, I mean, it's not like we're trafficking in souls. I mean, I don't even like the term
R-
marketplace. I mean, it commoditizes people and it
Yeah.
turns faith into a commodity. And that's just all sorts of wrong, just theologically and every other which way. It doesn't work um, as well because people can see that a mile down the road coming. They're smart. And if you have an ulterior motive of like converting them,
Yeah.
yeah, it just doesn't work. It's not genuine. And I have all sorts of things to say about that,
Okay. Let's
obviously.
let's park that one for a moment and let's try another angle then. Uh, Christian business,
Hmm.
or maybe even use a better term, kingdom business. Now
Oh
we've got a
dear.
real strong term there.
Oh
So,
dear.
so here I am. I'm going to start my kingdom business.
Mhm.
Um, what going to put a fish in the letterhead, maybe a sneaky little verse shoved in somewhere. Uh, okay, let's start there. What other things
You know,
should I not do?
please don't put a fish in your letterhead. Um,
Okay, we've
okay, so
fish is gone.
let's use the example of a plumber.
Yeah,
Why do I hire a plumber?
yeah.
Do I hire a plumber because he has a fish in his letterhead? No, I hire a plumber because he's a good plumber and he can do his job well. And I think, again, people who are, quote, your target in the marketplace, which is horrible terminology,
Yeah,
because you don't want to feel like you've got a target on your back, do you? I don't want to feel like that.
sure.
Well, neither do people who are, quote, in that demographic. And it's this us and them model that doesn't work. It just doesn't. And so what do you do instead? Right? So how do I let people know I'm a Christian business? Well, what if you were just good at your job? What
Yeah,
if you just loved people well and had fruit and let other people tell you that this was, oh my gosh, like I had no idea that like you believing what you believe, that I would be loved by somebody who believed what you did. I've had clients tell me this. I've had clients, I've never mentioned the name Jesus, not that I'm ashamed or like opposed to doing that if that's what the moment calls for.
Sure.
But when I serve my clients, I'm there to serve my clients. And I've had clients say, it's like you told my whole life story to me. How did you know these things?
Yeah.
And then, I ask permission, and that sounds counterintuitive to a lot of evangelical teaching, but to me it's about relationship, and to Jesus about relationship.
Yeah.
And so I want to create space that is safe for relationship to grow. And out of that, they're going to get to know who Jesus is through my life and my quote testimony, because he is centered to who I am.
Yeah.
But that's not the quote ulterior motive
Yeah.
to bring them in as a client or to serve them well as a business.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So coming back to the plumber that you're thinking about bringing
Okay.
in, we're not looking for the plumber with the fish on the letterhead. We're not looking for the plumber who's coming in to evangelize you. So there are two plumbers we can call. One is somebody has faith in Jesus. One doesn't. We might not know that at this stage.
Right.
But what kind of things should mark out the person with the faith in Jesus? So we know what we're saying not. Banging on the door, he slips a little tract, she slips a little tract under your under your breakfast bowl.
Right.
To find later. All of that out the window, of course.
Thank you.
But what would mark something for you that would say, there's something here that is reflective of this person's faith in Jesus? Something. What would be some of the values coming through?
As a customer, I genuinely feel cared about.
Yeah.
Like, this person cares deeply that my toilet is backed up. Like, he gets it. He goes the extra mile, or she goes the extra mile.
Yeah.
They, maybe, yes, it's a clog, but he could have put something dodgy, on and added some tacked on whatever to make some more money. But instead he says, look, this is what's going on. I'm transparent with my pricing. So for instance, I have an AC air condition repair man that I've used for years. And for as long as he is in business, he has mine, as long as I'm local, and he's a believer, and I know he's a believer because we've had talks about that. But he wouldn't have to ever mention anything for me to see it, because he genuinely cares. He goes the extra mile. He really has transparent pricing. He's got just clear communications. He's salt of the earth. You shine. Light doesn't have to announce itself.
Yeah,
It
for
just
sure.
shows up and shines.
Yeah. Let me ask you about this. There can be a very simplistic and with vested interest teaching or emphasis. You're involved in business because now actually you can earn more money and be blessed, of course. But please remember, when God blesses you, you ought to be a much bigger giver. So the real reason why you're in there is so that funds can go in a certain direction. Give it the name church in whatever form, church, mission, What do you think about that? Is how deep is that, or how undeep is that, otherwise known as shallow? Is that at all a justification for going for the business realm, or why we say, oh, look, God's with you, because of the money?
Yeah, no, it's less than an inch deep, and honestly, it's about as shallow as you get. And here it is. It brings into this narrative of you are not a something that God wants to use. You're a person he loves.
Yeah.
And so what it does is it sets up a sacred secular split that doesn't exist in Jesus. B, it commoditizes faith, and it turns people into ministry structures, personal bank accounts. And it's just absolutely counterintuitive to everything Jesus taught and how he lived his life. And he, by the way, was a business person. He was a carpenter. He was out in the community fixing stuff. And so but that's not the way that he, quote, brought his kingdom, through great money. But yet when they had needs, what, there were the coins and the fish. He knew where to get, he knew where his supply was. So yeah, it's super shallow and untied into a structure that I don't personally believe to be healthy or reflective of who God is.
Sure.
Mhm.
Oh, we love to get our structures, don't we? And compartmentalize everything, and then, but everything ultimately is serving something that we've created, rather than
Right.
being immersed back, maybe a bit to the inside out, immersed
Yep.
inside, so that something can flow to the outside. And in one sense, maybe even the language inside out that I've just used there in that context is a little inaccurate, because maybe we shouldn't be thinking so much about an outside, but we're just all part of the one thing, and life is flowing. Maybe.
Life is it's, again, it just comes back to that same analogy. And truth is that light doesn't have to do anything
Yeah,
but show up and shine.
yeah, yeah. Michelle, thank you for your pearls of wisdom, which they most certainly are. And I'll stick these on the site for people to look at, particularly before they come read some of the chapters that I've written. And hopefully it will provoke them a little bit as well, which I think you've got a little bit of a gift to do that. Maybe just a little.
Yes, I can get all sorts of good trouble.
You've probably provoked a few people and gotten in trouble more than once in your life. That's my guess. So and I congratulate you for that. And we'll come back and we'll get you to talk about some other areas again.